stand on a precipice. No government has the money to be able to solve this problem by itself. We need you. We need the private sector all around the world to step up.
You're witnessing an ecopreneur revolution. This is going to be an opportunity because there's so much capital that can be deployed on this incredible new sector.
None of us are coming out of this pandemic assuming we're going to go back to 2019. We have to find a new way going forward.
Industries and business models are being continuously disrupted. But what it really requires is a very, very steady pace of cross-skilling, reskilling, upskilling.
Tech really enables all of us to reskill at speed. And what used to be 10, 15 years is now just 5 years.
In an organization whose purpose is to deliver on the promise of technology and human ingenuity, you really have to build inclusion into your talent practices every single day.
How can you belong in a company or a community if you don't see people like yourself, however you define them?
Inclusive design is for everyone, and it needs everyone's voices at the beginning of the process.
In the face of all these priorities, can global health maintain the visibility that it deserves?
We have a responsibility to protect our populations. We have these huge health inequity issues.
Pfizer will provide all its patented medicines and vaccines on a non-for-profit basis to 1.2 billion people living in 45 lower-income countries.
We have the means to improve the states of the world. We need collaborative efforts.
These crises injected a sense of renewal, a sense of community, a sense of a new kind of world that we want to create.
And there are enough leaders in Davos this week. We need their engagement, their ingenuity, their creativity. That is what the world needs at a time like this.
Vielen Dank to the Chancellor.
Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, let's build on the great momentum that was created by the Chancellor. I think we're very privileged to have still these kind of politicians and leaders in Europe. And thank you, Klaus, for moderating such an excellent conversation with Olaf Scholz. So it is my privilege to then try to sum up these days. That's not easy in a short time, but I think that when we come to the close at our 51st annual meeting of the World Economic Forum in Davos, and I think for many of us it kind of feels like a first. Indeed, it was the first time we came together after the start of the COVID pandemic. The first time we met after COP26 in Glasgow, and also, sadly, as mentioned by the Chancellor, the first time we meet after return of war in Europe. This week, though, reminded us why it is so important to meet physically with one another. It creates bonds for a lifetime. And great progress has been made in many areas. Let me start with the planet and climate change. After this week, 20 additional companies and 8 countries joined the First Movers Coalition that was created at COP26, a common initiative with President Biden and the World Economic Forum. Now we have 54 of the leading companies in the world that has committed using their procurement power to green their supply side. So they're saying they will only buy from suppliers in the future that leave less of a CO2 footprint. This is walking the talk, and thank you to those companies and countries. And for those that haven't joined yet, please join until next Davos. CEOs of the Climate Leaders Alliance, 120 CEOs met. They all committed to go net zero by 2050. Many of them have decided to go net zero by 2040. Many have also committed to go net zero by 2030. This is a very strong alliance. Minister Xie, the climate envoy of China, as you saw here on the podium, also announced his country's contribution to plant and conserve 70 billion trees by 2030. 1T.org China Action will support the fulfillment of the pledge in Davos, remember, of 1 trillion trees. I'm glad that announcement could be made also in these times. Crucial steps have also been taken in the fight for global public health. The Global Fund to fight AIDS, tuberculosis, malaria announced its first pledge from the private sector here in Davos. They've raised a third of 18 billion needed to reverse setbacks caused by the pandemics. An Accord for a Healthier World was launched at Davos by Pfizer this week, providing all its patent-protected medicines and vaccines on a not-for-profit basis to 45 lower-income countries, with Rwanda, Ghana, Malawi, Senegal, and Uganda as the first 5 countries to join the accord. Big thank you. The Lung Ambition Alliance launched a global lung cancer collaboration, bringing together companies and NGOs to facilitate greater collaboration and solutions to eliminate lung cancer as a leading cause of death. These global public health initiatives come on the back of the COVID-19 pandemic, which reminded us once more how interconnected we are all on our planet. The global connectedness branches out to other areas. At the time of rising inflation, fragile food and energy systems, and increased inequality, many participants also worked on initiatives to strengthen the economy, supply chains, and jobs. UNICEF this week co-signed an extended charter with the World Economic Forum and 16 logistics leaders to prioritize support for humanitarian supply transport. Rwanda and the United Arab Emirates announced that they are joining the Food Action Alliance, an alliance now spreading all over the world. Yet, even as global cooperation is facing headwinds, new multinational initiatives also saw the light of day. Jobs. The Jobs Consortium held its inaugural meeting here in Davos, aiming to create growth in the jobs of tomorrow, new standards in the workplace, and better wages for all, with focus on social, green, and tech jobs as the high-growth job-creating sector of the future. Decent jobs. The reskilling initiative that I think you all remember that was launched in Davos 2 years ago has mobilized over 50 CEOs, hundreds of organizations across 15 countries, all working to give 1 billion people better education and skills. Japan initiated during the meeting the Gender Parity Accelerator, and Bangladesh became the latest country to join the Closing the Gender Gap Accelerator. The Forum Friends of Africa Continental Free Trade Area came together and worked on public-private partnerships to support the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. 1.3 billion people in Africa, and if this free trade agreement is successful, it can create 30 million new jobs in the coming years. The World Investment for Development Alliance was launched together with OECD, the World Bank, UNCTAD, and other partners to increase collaboration in addressing investment and policy practices. We know that many people on our planet are not connected. 3.6 billion people have not really a connection to Wi-Fi and the internet. The Edison Alliance is about closing this and launched a new program to speed up digital inclusion in the life-critical sectors of health, education, and finance during Davos. They launched a new network of countries, including Bahrain, Bangladesh, and Rwanda, working with the UN Development Program, UNDP, aiming to provide 1 billion people with affordable digital solutions. That's walking the talk. The Finance Minister of Malaysia announced a new Center for the Fourth Industrial Revolution in Malaysia, in addition to the 16 other centers we have in the world, to set standards and making sure that the new technologies do work in the interest for humankind, and establishing traffic rules in this area. We also know that the war in Ukraine has been on everyone's mind during this week. 70 CEOs came together, CEOs for Ukraine, yesterday with President Ursula von der Leyen of the European Commission and the Prime Minister of Ukraine. We saw the birth this week of the Refugee Employment and Employability Initiative, a coalition of chief human resources officers that were in Davos came together to support the integration of Ukrainian refugees in Europe. Similarly, the Humanitarian Resilience Investing Initiative, how to mobilize additional private capital to benefit the most vulnerable communities, made huge progress. And we launched a resilience consortium with many partners looking at the potential black spots or that we are facing, also moving forward, and making sure that we now take action to build resilience to avoid future catastrophes. The cost of inaction far exceeds the cost of action. Finally, we also saw a lot of enthusiasm around the technologies of the future. The Global Collaboration Village explored how we can work together in the metaverse. I hope many of you saw this. It is amazing how we can also have the new technologies to work together for creating also more interaction. Friends, as we close the meeting, I want to remember all these results we accomplished together in the past week. It is a reminder to all of us that we are better off in a world where we meet and act together than in one where everyone is for themselves. We should recreate a win-win world, not beggar thy neighbor, but prosper thy neighbor. As I look around the room, I sense some sadness that this first annual meeting after the onset of the pandemic has come to an end. But as I look ahead, I hope you share with me the enthusiasm of knowing that we will meet again, and that this meeting was only the first of many in what I hope can be a new era of global understanding and cooperation. And the World Economic Forum was established more than 50 years ago by Professor Klaus Schwab to bring people together, to increase understanding, and our platform is available for everyone that wants to work together to create a better world. Thank you, and safe travel back home.